In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, the federal government created public policy that essentially sent a message to employers. Go all over the world, find the cheapest worker, and bring them back to do the work. 550 Indians were recruited from the southern region of India. They were told they would be given green cards and visas for their families. And there was one catch. They had to pay $20,000. They paid up, they liquidated their homes, they sold ancestral land, and they mortgaged their futures. They drowned their families in debt in order to come to the United States. They found that they had bought an American nightmare. They were living in prison labor camps in slave-like conditions, and they started to organize. When they started to organize, their employer, Signal International, brought armed guards into the labor camps, pulled organizers out of bed, and held them captive. A year later, workers organized again to escape involuntary servitude and report Signal International to the Department of Justice.
And I want to commend the courage of these folks who stood up, who marched from New Orleans to Washington, D.C. These folks who had a hunger strike, y'all, to draw attention to these appalling conditions, because they are in the same tradition of Martin Luther King. They walked the road of Martin Luther King. This was a freedom march. And we have to maintain this legacy today. If we don't, we're not worthy of the great sacrifices that were made on our behalf.
These workers had faith in the American justice system. Instead of giving them justice, the American federal authorities are now prosecuting the workers while Signal operates a multi-million-dollar business with impunity.
We're a little ashamed at our government for the actions that have been happening to these workers. And to Signal International, we say shame on you for exploiting these workers, to avoid hiring workers in the United States of America when unemployment is at its highest peak, has been in years. And you do this for two reasons. Not to pay them a fair living wage for them and their families, but for the profits of this company, the profits off these workers. So shame on you, and we support all the action of these workers.
When immigration comes after workers who organize, when immigration comes after workers who are trafficked, all workers get a very clear signal. If you are being exploited, hide in the shadows. Don't come forward. Don't report the crimes of your employer. If you do, you will be targeted.
We are gathered here in fasting and in prayer to support the workers who have come from Signal International, where they were trafficked from India and then put in jail now, some of them in Fargo. And so we are gathered today with some demands. First of all, we demand that the Department of Justice grant to all the workers trafficked into the United States by Signal International, including the 21 who are held in the Cass County Jail, we demand that they grant continued presence, a status that's conferred to victims of human trafficking by the Human Trafficking Act of 2000. And two, we need ICE to stop all investigations and holding these Indian workers prisoner while the Department of Justice completes its trafficking investigation. It's a reasonable demand. It's a demand that falls well within the guidelines of our own law in this country, and it's time that these folks who came here in good faith to simply provide for their families be granted an ounce of justice in our system.
When human traffickers are allowed to do what they do and avoid accountability, and the victims of their trafficking are held with criminal culpability, we have a perverse situation. It's unjust, it's wrong, and we're not going to stand silent while it goes on.
Labor trafficking is an assault not only on the oppressed, but also it holds the oppressor in bondage.
That's right.
We must restore the dignity of work which is undermined by trafficking of human beings. If our system of handling newcomers to our land is broken, then we are broken. And then we are called to act if we are to be healed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.